Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, Brexit has taken a back seat in the last few weeks, but fear not, it's back on the agenda as negotiators meet this week and the EU withdrawal bill is back in the Lords tomorrow. But nearly 2 years on from the Brexit vote, the journalist and author Ella Whelan says we have lost some of our Brexit excitement. Here's her soapbox, and just a warning, there are flashing images in this report.
We've forgotten how brilliant Brexit is. It's been a year and 10 months since June the 24th, when the EU referendum result was announced. And since then, we've had nothing but panic, moaning and groaning about Brexit. By now, you may well be sick of hearing about the word. News coverage often focuses on what offhand comments some obscure EU politician has made, or stony-faced MPs worrying about what Brexit might or might not do to the price of Marmite. Brexit has become the background noise to British politics. It's become boring. And this is a travesty. Brexit was the biggest political mandate in British history. And despite that, it's been consistently ignored, undermined and belittled. Brexit is seen by many in the political establishment as a mistake and a disaster. Middle-class columnists still delight in telling us plebs how wrong we were, how uneducated we are, and how sorry we will be when this all blows up in our face. But we weren't wrong, and we're sick of having our political demands turned into a bickering match between Westminster and Brussels. It's time to rekindle the excitement embedded in the Brexit vote. The EU referendum saw more British voters than ever before engage in political debate, something general elections have failed to do for years. Brexit is about democracy. It means that British citizens, ordinary people, will have a bigger say in how the country is run. Brexit shook the British political establishment to its core, reminding MPs that they answer to us, the people. So let's get back to basics. It's time to remind ourselves of just how brilliant the Brexit vote was. No more groaning from the anti-democrats. No more sniping from Brussels. Brexit was a bomb that opened up new space in British politics. It's time to decide what we do with it.
And Ella Whelan joins us now, but first of all I'm going to go to Kezia Dugdale because she's talking about you. Ramonas like you, anti-democrats, you're spoiling the Brexit party.
Well, on the issue of being a moaner, I feel like I'm just doing my job. I do believe Brexit's going to be terrible news for the economy. It's going to be felt by the poorest people. I think it's my job to stand up and say that. On the aspect of being anti-democratic, I reject that too, because actually I think that the final deal should be put to the people again with a people's vote. Empower the people to decide whether we ratify or reject this final deal.
So a second referendum? Yes,
it's not a position of the Labour Party, but it's a view that I hold very strongly.
Should the Labour Party be doing more now over the Brexit deal and perhaps campaigning for a second referendum?
I would like to think that the Labour Party is very focused on getting the best possible deal out of Brexit. For me, that's got to be about retaining all the benefits of the single market. If that can't happen, I would very much like to see the Labour Party commit to a people's vote, a ratifying referendum. Let the people decide whether this deal is exactly what we voted for or not.
You're not going to convince people like Kezia, are you?
No, and she's not going to convince me or the 17.4 million people who voted for Brexit. We already had our democratic say. And any argument against Brexit at this point, any call for a second referendum is nothing but an anti-democratic demand. People in this country, the people who voted, are kind of treated by politicians like yourself like we're just this problem that you kind of have to deal with, you have to sidestep, you don't really like what we voted for, and so you've got to kind of hash up this plan to couch it in terms of democracy, but really what you're doing is denying our vote. And really, I can't
overstate the anger that is embedded in British citizens at that. I mean, it's really, truly disgusting to hear a politician deny democracy and the extent to which you are doing so.
I'm a politician in Scotland where 62% of people voted Remain, and the reality is that the choices at the end of this process could be so stark, the difference between soft and hard Brexit so different. I don't understand how a mandate could be respected without giving the people the final say.
I hate when people talk about soft and hard Brexit. That's vocabulary that's been invented since the referendum. Brexit was very clear what people voted for. It was Brexit in everything. It was all institutions related to the EU.
Was it? Do you know that all people who voted Leave voted for that?
The Ashcroft polls, which came out, which were a very good kind of example of how people voted, was all about sovereignty and democracy. This is what you are undermining in a call for a second referendum. Is undermining, undermining the fact that the people who live in this country, British people, ordinary citizens, should have a say in politics. Right, you're uncomfortable with that.
I'm really not. Let me put it to you this way. Are we voting for a border in Northern Ireland or not? That, for me, is the difference between soft and hard Brexit. Which one are the people getting? Don't you think they should have a final say?
What are you so frightened of if there were to be a vote on the deal?
No, it's not about being frightened. I actually think that there's no evidence to show that there's any kind of, what's it called, Brexiting or people regretting
Not more language.
There is no evidence of that. But what there is evidence of is the British political establishment absolutely quaking in its boots at the fact that Brexit was a demand for a bigger say in politics from the populace.
And it's true, there hasn't been a massive shift, has there?
No, but I do see increasing support for a people's vote in the polls, and I've not heard anything.
Do you mean people's vote, the second referendum, the 1,200 people who turned up to try and overturn Brexit with Patrick Stewart and Chukwuemeka?
I'm talking about polls which demonstrate people would like a final say, and you haven't answered the point about Scotland, where people very clearly want to remain.
We've run out of time because we've only got 5 seconds to go. Thank you, ladies. Thank you to you particularly for being guest of the day.